talking Snake Hotel, and this is directed by Charles Solly and produced by, yes, you've guessed it, it is Scott Jeffrey. A Scott Jeffrey movie. Now, is the plot a female-led movie where a bunch of either all-female or mostly female protagonists go into a house and are chased around by some type of creature antagonist? Yes, that is the plot. Let me give you a little bit more context. This one stars Chrissy Runa and Danielle Scott, two Scott Jeffrey regulars, and a bunch of other kind of people. We have a group of female prisoners are essentially kind of brought under the table, so to speak, by Chrissy Runa's Miss Fang, a strange kind of like whispering antagonist who wants these kind of female convicts to be part of a kind of somewhat of a experiment where they are in a hotel being chased around by giant snakes who are kind of being genetically engineered, so to speak, to be weapons and kind of fine-tuned to hunt using these kind of women as kind of guinea pigs and things like this. We also have a kind of secondary antagonist in Danielle Scott's character, Faye, who is kind of a psychopath kind of inmate who has got beef with our main kind of, girls, essentially, our main protagonists. And a smattering of other characters, including a kind of an android character using props from another Scott Jeffrey movie. What will happen? You will have to watch the movie and find out. So let's discuss what we think worked with Snake Hotel. This movie is exactly the same as their Scott Jeffrey previous movie called Dinosaur Hotel, just that they've changed snakes with dinosaurs and the kind of the setup to get people in is a little different. But ultimately it's kind of the same movie. I think it's even the same location. Is there anything that we can say works in this movie? I will say this one I think leans into its B-movie kind of origins a little bit more. It's not taking itself too seriously. There is actually an attempt at some kind of gags and humour here, which I think, makes the movie a little bit more palatable. Some of these movies tend to take themselves a little too seriously, and you just can't. With this kind of cheap movie, you can't really take him seriously. So I think it was the right move to kind of lean into the kind of the schlockiness to a certain degree. Female convicts, there's lots of kind of like puns and kind of play on words. We have lots of kind of like swearing and people getting eaten by kind of like, snakes, robot, a kind of like hissable kind of like female villain. So there's some schlock here, which I do think adds to the palatable nature of this kind of movie compared to if it had been maybe played a little more straight, like a lot of these movies tend to be. There's a couple of directorial choices which I thought worked quite well. For example, we have a couple of sequences where we have our Miss Fang character talking to kind of one of these male guards, and he's kind of a little bit unsure about what's going on. And the director does like extreme kind of close-ups on their faces, which gives you this kind of like, whoa, this kind of like strange kind of feeling of unease and things like that. So there's a couple of okay choices in regards to directorial style. And the CGI on the snakes, it doesn't look too bad considering a lot of these films that we've seen, especially from this producer. The CGI on the snakes is better than some we've seen from this very company. So what doesn't work in this movie? Well, like most Scott Jeffrey movies, it is a quickly produced, low budget, schlocky movie without that huge amount of kind of thought, pre-production, prep or anything like that. It practically follows the same plot as the Dinosaur Hotel, just with kind of like a different kind of like monster here and, a slightly different setup. They're even kind of cannibalizing their own works now. And it even stars Chrissy Runa, who was the main protagonist in Dinosaur Hotel. Like most Scott Jeffrey movies, the setup is always kind of like a group of girls go into a kind of house. I mean, it is so unoriginal. The acting is not good. Like I said, I feel these movies are shot very quickly, so I don't necessarily always blame the actors here because I feel that there's not a lot of takes that are done. It's just like, do a take, move on, we'll kind of get this knocked out over the kind of the weekend. So the acting isn't particularly kind of strong. You know what, I think the CGI is better than some kind of like these low budget movies. It still isn't particularly good. We don't see the snakes on screen a whole lot, and when we do see them, you know, the graphics aren't terrible, but the animation is, you know, unconvincing at best. They are, you know, it's very much a talky film with kind of dialogue between kind of like small kind of CGI sections to obviously save on budget, because obviously the human kind of drama is more or is less expensive to kind of like make than kind of having kind of CGI effects. This is why we have kind of human villains in these things. Their setup is kind of silly. The characters are kind of like paper thin. It's pretty much what you're going to expect with a movie like this. I mean, it's just kind of like a silly B-movie time waster. Like, it's more or less a remake of Dinosaur Hotel. I do appreciate it leans a little bit more into its kind of B-movie kind of feel to a certain point, which gives it a little bit more kind of like interest to me. But even so, for me, it's still a 3 out of 10. It's just a kind of like standard kind of like fare that comes out of Jagged Edge Productions, the production company here. Nothing really kind of memorable at all in this one. Have you seen it? Will you see it? Please do let me know what your thoughts are, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.